Namaste, guys. ChristianRLong, Life Enhancement Consultant, giving you a big and beautiful shout out on this Saturday evening. It is almost 8 o'clock p.m. Mountain Time here in Denver, Colorado. And just finished rollerblading, which was fun. It wasn't a super long rollerblading event this time, but got about 30 minutes in. Body's feeling more integrated, healthier, and stronger. Jose, Atma Namaste. How are you? Falguni, Atma Namaste. James, Atma Namaste. Good to have you on. Now, I want to share something with you because, as you guys know, we do these live streams every day about energy healing, meditation, and practical spirituality. And I'm always thinking of not necessarily new information that I think would be beneficial for you, but reminding you of things that you intuitively already know but may not practically practice in your day-to-day life. So, what topic are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about a process of building better relationships with each and every person in your life, whether it's a friend, a family member, a coworker, a vendor, an employee. Doesn't matter. This process works in ciphers as ChristianRLong. I don't know what that means. You're going to have to explain that to me. Break it down for me. Thanks, James. And I have consistently and persistently noticed this among the best communicators in the world practice this process, and the worst communicators in the world miss this process all together. Oh, it's Armenian. Oh, how are you? I'm very good. Thank you for asking. Stephen, Atma Namaste. So I want you guys to get out a pen, a piece of paper, and take some notes on this one, because this is going to be short, but it's going to be meaty, and it's going to be very applicable to your day-to-day life. So I've been an energy healer professionally, Denise, Atma Namaste, for about 15 years. But most of my entire time doing energy healing with people, it was never doing anything related to coaching. It had nothing to do with asking questions. It simply, Yara, Atma Namaste, it simply had to do with what's your problem, right? So that was probably as big as the questions got. What is your problem? And then the person would say, oh, I have lower back pain. Okay, let's do the protocol on lower back pain. Oh, I have relationship issues. Okay, let's do the healing protocol for relationships. Oh, I have this problem. Okay, let's do this protocol. So that was as far as it went. Natalia, Atma Namaste. And about 6 years ago, I got exposed to a book called Energy Leadership. Energy Leadership. I highly recommend picking it up. And it was written by, I forget the author's name, it was written by the founder of IPEC, which stands for Personal Excellence in Coaching. The Institute for Personal Excellence in Coaching. The Institute for Personal Excellence in Coaching. And it's a very, very good program. It's a very, very good book. But in that book, he talks about how you can help somebody, Jeanette, Atma Namaste, you can help somebody reach their goals through a process of asking questions, which we know through the Socratic method, right? Socrates never, quote unquote, taught anybody. What he did was ask a series of questions that brought somebody to the logical conclusion for them to have a breakthrough. Now, why is this important in our day-to-day interactions? See, I just did it right there. I asked the question. Because we make so many assumptions about where somebody is in their life and what they need or don't need. Leslie, Atma Namaste, that we forget that we have to A, acknowledge where they are, B, validate where they are, and C, ask a clarifying question to understand if what you are going to prescribe or recommend to them is the correct thing. Think about this from a perspective of going to see a doctor. And let's say the doctor is a specialist in the nervous system, right? And so you go and see him and he goes, oh, okay, well, we need to do this part. We need to fix this part of your brain, and we need to give you these brain supplements, and we need to give you these brain exercises. And you're like, aren't you going to ask me what's wrong with me? And then the doctor says, okay, well, what's wrong with you? And you're like, I hurt my ankle, right? So because the doctor didn't ask questions of what's wrong with you, and to dig deeper and to find out where you're at, he's going in with preconceived ideas. So how many of us do that in our day-to-day life, in our current relationships, is we make assumptions onto why somebody's acting the way that they're acting, why someone is mad, why someone is happy, why someone is depressed, why somebody is fill in the blank, that very rarely do we actually dig deeper to go to the core issue as to why that person is having that issue, right? So when I was exposed to coaching and then I started applying it into my healing practice, I realized that people were able to get results much, much faster because they were able to get to the core issue as to why they are suffering. And then when you have greater awareness and understanding as to why you're suffering, you can transform. But if you go to see a therapist, a counselor, a coach, a healer, a mentor, and they make the assumption as to why you are stuck, and they give you that advice, that doesn't necessarily give you the awareness and understanding how to get out of that place. They just make the assumption that the reason you're stuck is because of X, not because of Y. So my recommendation is, if you want to bring somebody from where they are to where they think they want to be, or where you know they should be, like a parent in general knows better than a child, but the parent still needs to get, Leslie says, so right, Christian, the parent still needs to build a bridge of communication for the child to go from where they are to ultimately where they want to be, right? The parent wants the child to be successful. The child wants the child to be successful, right? And you do that by asking questions. When you ask questions, it gets people to get out of their emotions in general, to get out of their emotions and to activate the throat chakra and the Ajna chakra, and then they start, I never thought about it like that way. That's a good question. Well, what if I did this instead of this, right? When you ask questions, you stimulate people's mental faculty versus an emotional response. As soon as you make a statement, as soon as you tell somebody what they should or should not do, number one, they're going to resist it consciously or unconsciously. And number two, they're never going to own it. Does that make sense? They're never going to own it. Because if you tell somebody what to do and they do it and it doesn't work out, they're not going to go, well, it's because of something I did wrong. They're going to go, oh, the person who gave me advice was wrong and I'm not going to listen to that person again, right? So that's why it's very, very important. By asking questions over a period of time, the person starts owning more and more and more and more of the answers, and then they can take greater responsibility for the results that they produce or don't produce in their lives. I cannot emphasize how important this is. My experience has been I've been doing personal development for about 20 years. My experience has been that most people, I would say 85% of people, do not ask questions. 85% of people do not ask questions. They don't acknowledge where you're coming from. They don't validate your feelings about something. And then they don't ask clarifying questions to understand if that's actually what the problem is. So again, they're prescribing something to you without knowing if the thing that they're prescribing is actually the thing that you're suffering from. So yes, it can be no questions equal ego. Interesting way of looking at it. No questions equal ego. So here's the interesting thing behind that. Thank you, Leslie, for sharing. That if you're ultimately trying to persuade somebody to a better model of life, right? If you're deep down in your soul of souls, you're trying to help that person in the area of their life that they're stuck in, whether it's a relationship problem, a financial problem, a career problem, a spiritual problem, whatever the problem may be that person is stuck in, and you're not asking questions, A, you're doing a disservice to the person, and B, you're doing it out of ego, and you're doing it out of negative pride. And what do I mean by that? If you're truly wanting to help the other person, And it's been proven over and over and over again that the best way to help somebody is to ask them a question to get them on board so they're open and receptive to receiving the answer that's right for them. If you know that's the process to get that person to adopt the new way of thinking, the new way of feeling, the new way of acting, if you don't do that, then that's out of pride. It's out of negative pride, because you're like, look, I know what I'm talking about. I have the right answer. This person's wrong. I'm right, right? And I just persuade people with candy. That's one way of doing it, especially with the little tiny kids. So when you ask questions, you get somebody on board with you, right? There's a personal development seminar company called Peak Potentials, and it used to be owned by T. Harv Eckert. He sold the right to the United States Peak Potentials, and he owns the right to the international company of Peak Potentials. And you will notice, if you've ever attended any of their seminars, their most famous one is Millionaire Mind Intensive, and they're all over the country, all over the world actually. You'll notice that throughout the entire 4-day event, they're constantly asking you questions every single step of the way. Why? To get you to be on board, to get you to cross from where you are to where they ultimately want you to be, right? They don't make assumptions. They say one of their famous lines is they'll make a statement about something and they'll say true or true, right? So you have to go, well, wait a minute. The options you gave me is there's only one option, true, right? So it's like everyone here wants to be successful. True or true? True, right? But as you keep responding, a question is being asked to you, you're responding. A question is being asked to you, you're responding. That's getting you engaged in the process, and that's getting you on board to be more receptive to your own transformation. And even in pranic healing, my teacher, Grandmaster Choa Koksui, the modern founder of pranic healing or Hatha Yoga, even does the exact same thing. He will have the students finishing his sentences. Why? Because that makes somebody receptive, it makes somebody conductive, and it makes the energy from the presenter go into the student, the disciple, the client, the patient, the protege, right? It's super, super, super important. I cannot emphasize that if you want to change every single relationship, in your life, you have to ask questions. So when somebody shares with you, whatever it is, they share with you they're having a bad day, they're sharing with you they're having a good day, they're sharing whatever it is that they're sharing with you, by acknowledging and validating that, and then asking a clarifying question, you will transform the relationship between you and that person. They will feel more heard, they will feel more respected, they will feel more dignified in your connection with them, and they will be much, much, much more harmonious with you than probably with anyone else in their life, because you're seeing them, you're recognizing them. In the world of service, right, the customer service world, especially in the restaurants, they said the biggest complaint that patrons have going to any restaurant is not impatient of the server, it's not the inefficiency of the service skills, it's not anything that has to do with the actual physical serving of the person's food. The number one complaint that has been across the board with people in the restaurant service industry has been indifference. So when we are indifferent towards another person, that person doesn't feel heard, doesn't feel acknowledged, doesn't feel validated, doesn't feel respected, doesn't feel seen, right? Roberta, namaste. Don't you guys notice that every time you come on the stream and I see your name, and sometimes I don't see every person's name that comes on, I acknowledge you. I say Atma Namaste James, Atma Namaste Roberta, Atma Namaste Hamena, Atma Namaste Leslie, right? I'm acknowledging and validating you because you guys are important, because you're a fellow brother and sister on the path, versus people just come on and I'm like, yeah, whatever. This is the topic we're going to talk about. I don't care if you're interested or not. It doesn't matter. It's completely irrelevant to me. James, you're very welcome, right? So James acknowledges me for acknowledging him. So what does that make me do? Oh, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm being heard. I'm being acknowledged. So, again, acknowledge, manisha, namaste, acknowledge, validate, and ask a clarifying question. So, if I understand you, fellow hearts, you rock. So if I understand you, what you're saying is this, right? Because you could be, if you're not, it's called active listening. If you're not actively listening to somebody, you could have in your mind, this is what they're talking about, but in fact, they're actually talking about this. You're completely wrong. So you give advice or recommendation about something over here, but they're actually talking about something over here, right? You're giving them relationship advice, but they actually need career advice. And the other thing is, I just want to come listen to you, Christian, because of your hair. I know, it's pretty crazy today. Did some shampoo, did some conditioner. What?
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Augustina says it's beautiful. So, if you give unsolicited advice, the walls go up. People do not listen to you. So again, what did I mention earlier? If you truly, in your heart of hearts and your soul of soul, want to help a person move their life forward, and you talk at them, and you don't ask questions, and you're just spewing information, it's out of ego, it's out of negative pride, and it's out of lack of awareness and understanding on your part. 100%. Without exception. Right? Because if you're like, yeah, I want this person to listen to my advice because I want them to live a better, higher quality of life. Okay, then be quiet, let them talk, ask questions, make sure you understand where they're coming from, and then here's the big one. You guys ready? And then you ask them, are you open and receptive to feedback? Are you open and receptive to my input? Are you open and receptive to moving your life forward? And guess what? If they say they are not, that's it. George, I'm a mistake. Again, if the person says, I'm not open and receptive, or no, I don't want feedback, no, I don't want solicitation of information or ideas, then you stop talking. You go on to the next subject, you talk about the weather, you talk about a funny show on Netflix, you talk about something else, because the person is not open and receptive. And so what you're doing is you're doing this to them energetically, and as soon as you do this to them energetically, what happens is people close down. If you ask questions, in most cases, people will be open and receptive. Because when you ask questions, little by little by little by little by little, their receptivity and conductivity to the message increases, right? I listen to all advice, and I usually said I will take it into consideration. Yeah, so that's a great way of acknowledging the person giving the advice. Because if they're your friend, if they're a loved one, if they truly care about you, they're giving you advice, hopefully not to stroke their ego and to say, look how brilliant I am and look at all this information I have. But they're like, I see a fellow brother or sister on the path that's suffering. I want to help them, right? So, but it goes both ways. So if somebody says to you, I'm not open and receptive to your advice, then drop it, right? Then drop it. And also, you have to be willing to say, I'm not open. You have to be willing to ask them questions as well. So it's both ways. If someone's not receptive, they're not receptive. One of my mentors, when I was going through a tough time in my life and I was doing a lot of inner work, there would come certain points, there would come certain points in my connection that she would say, are you open to this right now? Like, are you open to this feedback? Are you open to hearing what I have to say? And I would say, no. Upasana, namaste. I would say no. And you know what she would do? Back off. She wouldn't push. She wouldn't do this. Because nobody likes that. Nobody likes to have a point hammered into their head. What up, see? Living the dream. True, very true. I love my old dog's advice. My old dog's advice? You told me where all the bones were in the yard. That's it. You just got to ask enough questions, and then eventually they crack. So I hope this is making sense to you guys. Is this useful? Is the information we covered over the past 20 minutes useful? See how I'm asking a question? See how I'm trying to validate of like, well, it's useful or it's not useful. It is. But I can assure you, your life will transform. And I don't say this haphazardly. I don't say this just to be cute. But your life will transform if you apply this technique or this process on a regular basis with everybody. And I notice another interesting thing as to why people don't ask questions is because they are afraid of the answer they may receive from the other person. Like, if the person answers that way, I don't know how to handle that. Like, if I ask them about relationship stuff, what if they say, it's none of your damn business and shut your mouth? That's rejection. I can't handle rejection, right? So it's understandable. That's why a lot of people don't ask questions. Jennifer, namaste. I haven't seen you on a live stream in a while, girl. Hope you're doing well. James says, thank you, Mr. C. It was very useful, and thanks for coming on tonight. You're very welcome. Regan says, yep. One of the best lessons that would help everyone. Yes, without a doubt. If I apply this, will the women I have a crush on go out with me? Ooh, that's a great question. Yes. Yes. Because, again, let's say, right, going about assumptions. Let's say there's a girl that you're interested in, okay? And you have the assumption that she is interested in guys that are tall, dark, and handsome with lots of money, right? That's your assumption. But if you ask questions to this particular person, like, who would you consider an ideal partner for you? And they go, I like a partner who is family orientated. I like a partner who is spiritual. I like a partner who loves to go running in the mornings. Like, running with my partner would be super fulfilling to me. So guess what? Through the process of asking questions to that person, you would get clarity and go, I'm more in alignment with that person's looking for, or, you know what, I'm not very, in alignment with what that person's looking for. Or you can say something like, would you be interested in going on a date with me? Right? The person could say yes or no, instead of saying, let's go on a date together. Now, this is where it can get a little bit tricky, and this will go into a whole other topic of conversation. But in general, in my experience of studying this and doing this for many, many years, in general, men are to lead and women are to follow. And what do I mean by that? If you put the responsibility of the woman to make the decision, it puts her in the masculine energy versus putting her in the feminine energy. So instead of saying, well, where do you want to go tonight for dinner? You're putting that responsibility of making the decision on her shoulders versus, hey, you as the leader should know what she likes and what she doesn't like. This is obviously a couple months or weeks into the relationship. You have a good idea, right? And you say, okay, we're going to go have Chinese tonight. Great. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen it in my life and the lives of clients and in the people that I've studied, that when you do not lead, the woman becomes more masculine, less feminine, and she becomes more agitated, irritated, and annoyed in that process versus let's lead, let's choose a destination and go in that direction. And then if you get, when you get feedback along the way, you make adjustments, right? You make adjustments. But you have to start with the end in mind of this is what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. And as you move in that direction, you get feedback. James says, very true, I agree with the leading. Or hard of hearing. Wait, what did I just miss? Awesome, thanks. I use my sign language sometimes because she is hearing impaired and she is very beautiful. Or hard of hearing, I mean. Oh, that's very interesting. Huh. Jennifer says, absolutely the truth. Yeah. But in our PC, politically correct culture now, everyone wants to talk about equality, and it has nothing to do with equality. It has nothing to do with equality. Men are not equal to women physically. It's been known for, 250,000 years. And just because there are certain laws and legislation on the books does not mean women are now biologically similar to men. It's nonsense. It's complete. It's ridiculous to even kind of think that that's true. So it's the same thing with leading. Men have been leading in certain capacities for hundreds of thousands of years. It's hardwired into our brains to do things a certain way, right? Now, if we're very, very developed in spirit, I do not agree, Chris. That's fine, Jimena. Why do you not agree? So this gives an opportunity for discussion and for discussion. So that's perfectly acceptable for you not to agree. James says, yep, that is right. That's also the same thing in the Bible. Tiffany, I'm namaste. I haven't seen you on a stream in a long time as well. Welcome. So that's been our biology. That's been our hardwiring for hundreds of thousands of years. Now, if we connect to evolution and we connect to people who are consciously evolving themselves, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically, yes, they can evolve out, or another way of saying it is transcend out of that paradigm, out of those collective thoughts, even out of their biology. But we're talking about the common, ordinary masses, 90%, 95% of the world's masses. We're not talking about the 5% because, yes, there are always exceptions to the rule, without exception, right? There's always an exception to the rule. But in general, we fall into certain default settings. And the women that I've met over my life that have been in long-term relationships, the ones that have been most feminine have partners, husbands, boyfriends who consistently, persistently lead in the relationship. Dean, Abba Namaste, right? Versus putting it on the shoulders of their partner. This is what, what should we do? What should we do? What should we do? What should we do? The women get irritated pretty easily over that. So James says, like the default view on YouTube. Yeah. That's kind of funny. So I don't know if we're going to get any feedback from Jimena. She might be writing the comment, and it's just taking a minute to kick in. But anything else that you guys disagree with or agree with, it's perfectly cool. I'm all about it. As Grandmaster Toho Koksui says, if you have more than two people, if you have more than two people's opinions, you're going to have conflict. And conflict is okay. Conflict, when properly handled, leads to a better, workable, more harmonious solution. It's called, it's of the 7 rays of creation, the 4th ray is called harmony through conflict. And that's where you have opposing viewpoints and you have a harmonizing energy. Opposing viewpoints and a harmonizing energy. Sure, namaste. So, that being said, for those of you who need healing, go to ChristianRLong.com. It's my name. It's my website. Super easy to find. You find me all over Google. Sign up for a 30-minute free consultation to find out how pranic healing can help you in a certain area of your life. If you know what you need healing on, then go to the schedule a session, and then we just meet over Skype, Zoom, or FaceTime. Easy peasy. And in the time that we work together, a lot of it is me asking you questions so you are more on board with your own transformation and you can move forward faster. And Jose is bringing up a great question and saying, are we having meditation tomorrow? Yes, we are. And we have a special guest. Dun, dun, dun. So for those of you who would like to meet that special guest, join us tomorrow, Sunday, at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. 10 a.m. Mountain Time. And you just click on the Zoom link below this video. Special guest, exactly. Click on the Zoom link below this video. It's at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. People go, what time? Mountain Time. Denver time. Is it Elmo? No, it's Elmo's Fire. Elizabeth, Abba Namaste. So, Yes, we will have meditation tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Mountain Time. It's 30 minutes of meditation. It's free. It's open to all. For those of you who want to stay on for the healing, it's a $25 donation. $25 donation. I enjoy your live feed. Namaste. Stephen, I'm glad you enjoy the live stream. I don't think I've ever seen your name come up before. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Also, that reminds me, for those of you who do enjoy the live streams and feel that you get value out of it, noon your time, perfect. Get value out of it, please share it on your personal Facebook page, your professional Facebook page, because we're all about adding value. And now, very soon, we're going to be jumping on LinkedIn and adding value on LinkedIn on a regular basis. Whole new market to tap into. Whole new market to add value to. And that's it, guys. So thank you very much for sharing your time, for sharing your energy, for sharing your feedback and questions. You're in Melbourne. No way. Stephen, are you friends with Dean? Are you friends with my homeboy Dean? James says, okay, we'll share. Can you donate pesos? You could donate pesos, but you have to click on the U.S. currency donation, and then I think it converts it.
She can put in my account in Argentina.
Pesos. Argentina pesos. But that's it, guys. Super simple concept tonight, but I promise you, I guarantee you, because I guarantee you, I don't guarantee a lot of things. There's only 2 things I've ever heard Grandmaster Tohokokusui guarantee. I guarantee you, Yvonne, you're late to the party, girl. Atma Namaste, good to have you on. I can guarantee you that if you apply acknowledging, validating, asking clarifying questions, you will improve the quality of every one of your relationships. Guarantee you, without any exception. James, you're welcome. It's not my wisdom, it's my teacher's wisdom. Steven says, not sure I know a couple of deans. Dean Tolis. He actually jumped on tonight. I think he jumped on, he did an Atma Namaste, and he peaced out. Because he's probably busy. Yvonne, you got to stop missing the streams. No crying on the streams. Anyways, guys, love you very, very much. Have an amazing, phenomenal Saturday, whatever is left of it. Name don't ring a bell. All right. Dean, there he is. There he is. Stephen and Dean are right next to each other. You guys see each other now? Perfect. I'm always pieces out. Thanks, Jennifer. I appreciate it. Blessings back to you from God and the teacher. And catch us tomorrow, 10 a.m. Mountain Time on the Zoom link. Go below the video for the event. Go below this video on Facebook for the event. You'll see my little face smiling and doing the blessing mudra. Hook up with me on LinkedIn. Perfect. Yeah, get after it, guys. Love you. My hair's getting crazier as the night goes on. Atma, namaste. Bye-bye.